Before you keep scrolling, I need you to stop for just a moment. Not because this message is urgent in the way the world defines urgency, but because your heart has been carrying something that no one else can fully see. You have smiled while feeling exhausted. You have answered, "I'm fine," when the truth was much heavier. You have laid awake at night, replaying conversations, wondering if you made the wrong decision, wondering if your life is quietly drifting away from the purpose you once believed you had. Some days, you have questioned whether I still hear your prayers, not because you stopped believing in me, but because waiting has become so familiar that hope feels harder to hold. If that sounds like your story, then don't dismiss this moment as another coincidence. Take this message seriously. It's meant for you. I know how loud your world has become. The alarm clock starts the rush. Emails begin arriving before you finished your first cup of coffee. Your phone vibrates with notifications that promise importance but leave you feeling emptier than before. Everyone seems to have advice. Everyone appears to be succeeding. Everyone looks like they know exactly where they're going. Meanwhile, you wonder why your own path feels so uncertain. You compare your quiet struggles to someone else's highlight reel. You measure your hidden tears against another person's public victories. Without realizing it, comparison begins writing lies across your heart. It whispers that you're falling behind, that you've missed your opportunity, that everyone else has been chosen while you've been forgotten. But those words have never come from me. I have never measured your worth by your timeline. I have never compared your journey to anyone else's. I have never looked at your waiting and called it failure. Instead, I see something you cannot yet see. Imagine a seed resting beneath the soil. To the person standing above it, nothing appears to be happening. The ground looks unchanged, silent, empty. But beneath the surface, everything is changing. Tiny roots begin reaching into places no one can see. They search for strength before they ever reach for sunlight. They grow downward before they grow upward. That hidden work is what prepares the seed for everything that comes next. Your life has felt like that seed. You have wondered why nothing seems to be happening, why the prayers feel unanswered, why the breakthrough hasn't arrived, why the door remains closed. But what if this season isn't proof that I've forgotten you? What if it is proof that I am building something deeper than what your eyes can measure? Roots are never celebrated. No one applauds them. No one takes pictures of them. Yet without them, the tallest tree cannot survive the first great storm. I care far more about your roots than your applause, because applause cannot sustain you. Character can. Faith can. Trust can. The strength I am growing inside you today will support the blessings you ask me for tomorrow. I know waiting isn't easy, especially when every day feels the same. When you wake up hoping something will change, only to find another ordinary morning, another unanswered prayer, another quiet evening. But ordinary does not mean meaningless. Some of my greatest work happens in seasons that look completely ordinary. David spent years caring for sheep before he ever wore a crown. Joseph lived through betrayal, slavery, and prison before he stepped into the purpose I had prepared for him. Even the longest nights eventually make room for morning. Their stories were never delayed by my absence. They were shaped by my timing, and so is yours. You have asked me to change your circumstances. Sometimes I begin by changing your heart, because a transformed heart can carry blessings that an unprepared one would lose. You think I have been silent, but I have been teaching. You think I have been distant, but I have been closer than your next breath. Even now, while you wonder whether anything is changing, I am strengthening parts of you that will one day hold the weight of everything you've been praying for. The seed does not understand why it must stay buried. It only knows that the one who planted it has not forgotten where it is. Neither have I forgotten you, not for a single moment. And the deeper truth behind that seed is something most people never discover until it's almost too late. Most people believe that the hardest part of a seed's journey is being buried. It isn't. The hardest part is remaining hidden while nothing on the surface seems to change. That is where faith is tested. Not when miracles are visible, not when answers arrive overnight, but in the quiet days when you keep moving forward without seeing immediate results. I know those days. I have watched you pray with tears in your eyes, only to wake up the next morning facing the same problems. You've wondered if I heard every word. I did. You've questioned whether your prayers reached heaven. They did. Not one whisper has escaped my attention. Not one silent cry has gone unnoticed. Even the prayers you could not put into words. I understood completely. Sometimes you think I am waiting because I am unwilling. The truth is, I am preparing because I love you. There is a difference. Think about a tree during a storm. People admire its branches as they sway in the wind. They notice its leaves, its height, its beauty, but no one sees what keeps it standing: the roots. Hidden beneath the ground, they quietly hold everything together. Without deep roots, even the strongest looking tree falls when the wind becomes too strong. In the same way, I am strengthening parts of your life that no one applauds: your patience, your humility, your forgiveness, your ability to trust me even when your emotions tell you to give up. These are the roots that will keep you standing when blessings finally arrive, because blessings without character often become burdens. Success without wisdom can destroy what took years to build. Influence without humility can lead a heart away from me. That is why I never rush what requires preparation. You call it delay. I call it protection. You call it silence. I call it growth. You call it waiting. I call it becoming. Have you noticed how quickly the world expects everything? Faster internet, faster deliveries, instant replies, instant success, instant recognition. Without realizing it, that expectation quietly enters your relationship with me. You begin believing that if the answer doesn't come quickly, it must not be coming at all. But I have never worked according to the world's clock. I work according to what will bring lasting fruit. The farmer does not become angry because the harvest isn't ready the morning after planting. He understands that every healthy harvest requires unseen seasons, and so do you. Right now, there are parts of your story being written that you cannot yet read. Conversations you haven't had, doors you haven't reached, people you haven't met, opportunities that are still growing toward you while you are growing toward them. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Even the disappointments you wish had never happened have shaped you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than you were before. You still carry scars from moments you hoped would never become part of your story. The relationship that ended, the opportunity that slipped away, the prayer that seemed unanswered, the goodbye you never expected. You thought those moments proved I had abandoned you. but I was standing beside you through every tear. There were nights when you felt completely alone. You looked around and saw no one who truly understood, yet I sat with you in the silence. When your heart broke, mine was near. When your strength failed, mine did not. Even when you stopped talking to me for a while because disappointment made you quiet, I never stopped listening for your voice. You have never been one step beyond my reach. Never. And here is something your fear keeps trying to hide from you. The enemy wants you to judge your future by your current circumstances. I want you to trust my promises more than your present feelings. Feelings change, circumstances change, but my faithfulness does not. If I have planted purpose inside you, I will not abandon the work halfway through. The seed does not create its own sunlight. It simply remains where it has been planted until the light finds it. Remain faithful, remain hopeful, remain close to me, because the light is already on its way. And when it arrives, you will finally understand why this hidden season had to last exactly as long as it did. There is another truth about a seed that many people never stop to consider. It doesn't choose where it is planted. It simply trusts the hands of the one who placed it there. You have spent so much time asking, why here? Why this family? Why this job? Why this struggle? Why this season? Why now? Those questions are understandable, but they can quietly distract you from a greater question. What is God growing here that couldn't grow anywhere else? Every place I lead you has a purpose, even when that purpose isn't immediately visible. Some seasons teach you courage. Others teach you patience. Some teach you compassion because you've experienced pain yourself. And a few seasons teach you that my presence is enough, even when everything else feels uncertain. I know there are moments when you wish you could skip this chapter. You tell yourself, if I could just get through this, then everything would be okay. But what if the very chapter you're trying to escape is preparing you for the one you've been praying to reach? Look back for a moment. Think about the hardest season you've already survived. At the time, you wondered if you would ever smile again. You questioned whether life would ever feel normal. Yet here you are, still standing. Not because you were stronger than everyone else, but because I carried you when your own strength was gone. There were countless moments you thought you were walking alone. You weren't. I was beside you in every hospital hallway. I was with you during every sleepless night. I heard every prayer whispered through tears. I collected every disappointment you thought had been forgotten. Nothing escaped my attention. Not even the moment when your faith felt fragile. Especially those moments. Faith isn't proven when everything is easy. Faith grows when love chooses to trust, even without seeing the entire picture. That's how roots grow, not by reaching for what is visible, but by searching deeper for what will sustain life. And I have been inviting your heart to grow deeper, not so your life becomes heavier, but so you become harder to shake. Storms will come. Jesus never promised a life without storms. He promised that those who build on solid ground will still be standing after the storm has passed. The difference isn't the weather. The difference is the foundation. That foundation is being built inside you right now. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness. Every time you pray instead of giving in to despair. Every time you choose kindness when anger feels easier. Every quiet act of obedience becomes another root reaching deeper into my faithfulness. The world celebrates what happens above the ground. I celebrate what is happening underneath it, because what grows unseen determines what can survive when everyone is watching. You may not realize it today, but one day someone will find hope because of the story you're living now. Your scars will become proof that healing is possible. Your waiting will become encouragement for someone who feels forgotten. Your faith will remind another weary heart that I never leave my children alone. Nothing you have endured has been meaningless. Even your tears have watered the ground where new life is beginning. So don't mistake slow growth for no growth. Don't mistake silence for absence. And don't mistake today's hidden season for tomorrow's final destination. The seed has not been buried to disappear. It has been planted to rise, and very soon you'll begin to see the first signs that something beautiful has been growing beneath the surface all along. When a seed finally begins to break through the soil, no one sees the struggle that came before it. People notice the first green leaf. They celebrate the visible growth, but they never witness the quiet battle that happened underground. The pressure, the resistance, the darkness. Your life has felt like that hidden struggle. You've been fighting battles that no one else knows about. Battles against fear, against disappointment, against the voice that keeps telling you you'll never be enough. Some mornings, you've gotten out of bed with a smile on your face while your heart felt exhausted. No one applauded your courage. No one realized how much strength it took just to keep going. But I saw it. I noticed every small victory that everyone else overlooked. Every time you chose hope instead of giving up. Every time you spoke with kindness when frustration wanted to take over. Every time you decided to trust me for one more day. Those moments mattered more than you know. Never believe that faith is measured only by dramatic miracles. Sometimes faith is simply choosing to take the next step when you cannot see the entire path. Remember Peter when he stepped out of the boat? He didn't know exactly how every step would unfold. He only knew my voice had called him. For a moment he walked on water. Then he looked at the wind, the waves, the storm. Fear became louder than faith. Maybe you've done the same. You started with confidence. You believed I was leading you. But somewhere along the journey, the storms became all you could see. Bills piled up. Relationships became complicated. Unexpected losses left you wondering where I was. And little by little, your eyes shifted from my promises to your problems. Yet even when Peter began to sink, I didn't stand at a distance, waiting for him to figure it out alone. I reached for him immediately. That is who I have always been, not a God who watches from afar. A father who reaches toward his children. You may feel as though you failed me. Perhaps you've made decisions you regret, words you wish you could take back, opportunities you wasted, years you believe were lost. But my mercy has never depended on your perfection. If it did, no one would stand. Look at the people I used throughout Scripture. Moses doubted himself. David stumbled into serious sin. Jonah ran from my calling. Thomas wrestled with doubt. Peter denied even knowing me. Yet I was not finished with any of them. Failure became part of their testimony, not the end of their story. The same is true for you. Stop defining yourself by your lowest moment. A single chapter never tells the whole story. I see the pages you haven't lived yet. Pages filled with healing. with purpose, with restored joy, with quiet moments where you'll look back and realize I was guiding you all along. Even now, there are prayers you've forgotten asking, prayers from years ago, dreams you quietly laid aside because disappointment convinced you they would never happen. I haven't forgotten them. Sometimes my answer looks different than your expectation. Sometimes I say no because I have something better. Sometimes I say wait because the timing isn't ready. And sometimes I remain silent because I am working in ways that words cannot explain yet. Trust does not grow by having every answer. Trust grows by knowing the one who holds the answers. That is why I keep inviting you closer to me instead of simply giving you explanations. Because my presence will always strengthen you more than information alone. So the next time fear tells you nothing is changing, remember the seed beneath the soil. Remember the roots growing in silence. Remember that the greatest transformations often happen where human eyes cannot see. And if you keep walking with me, there will come a day when what was hidden becomes impossible to ignore, because the harvest is closer than you think. There is something remarkable about a mature tree. It doesn't exist only for itself. The shade it gives belongs to anyone who needs rest. The fruit it produces feeds others. Its branches become a home for birds it never invited. Its strength protects life beyond its own. That has always been my design. I have never planned to bless you, so the blessing would stop with you. I am preparing you to become a source of hope in a world that is desperately searching for it. One day, someone will sit beneath the shade of your story. They will listen as you describe the nights you thought would never end, the prayers that seemed to echo back in silence, the fears that kept you awake. And they will realize they are not alone. Your testimony will become the evidence that I still work in ordinary lives. Right now, you may not believe your story is important. You look at your scars and wish they had never happened. I look at those same scars and see places where my grace has already been at work. Remember when Jesus met the disciples after his resurrection? He could have erased every mark left by the cross. Instead, he kept the scars, not because they represented defeat, but because they became proof of victory. Some of the wounds you've been trying to hide will one day become the very reason another person believes there is hope. Do not be ashamed of what I have carried you through. The chapter that almost broke you may become the chapter that helps someone else survive. That is how redemption works. I take what was meant for despair and transform it into encouragement. I take broken pieces and create something beautiful. I take endings and quietly begin writing new beginnings. Perhaps you've been asking me to remove every difficulty from your life. Instead, I have been teaching you how to walk through difficulty without losing your peace. Because peace is not found in perfect circumstances. Peace is found in my presence. Think back over your life. How many times did you believe everything was falling apart, only to discover later that I was quietly putting something better together? The job you didn't get led you somewhere you never expected. The relationship that ended protected you from pain you couldn't yet see. The delay that frustrated you gave you time to become the person you needed to be. You called those moments disappointments. Later, you called them blessings. What changed? Not my faithfulness, only your perspective. That is why I ask you to trust me today, even before you understand tomorrow. My view reaches far beyond the horizon your eyes can see. I know the people you haven't met yet, the opportunities that are already moving toward you, the prayers that are closer to being answered than you realize. Nothing in your life has escaped my hands. Even when you wandered, I remained near. Even when you doubted, I remained faithful. Even when you stopped looking for me, I never stopped looking after you. That is the kind of love I have for you. Not a love that disappears when you struggle. A love that stays. A love that restores. A love that patiently waits for your heart to remember where home has always been. So today, let your soul become still for just a moment. Take a slow breath. Notice the air filling your lungs. Listen to the quiet around you. You may not hear thunder. You may not see a dramatic sign, but if you listen carefully, you'll notice something deeper. Hope is beginning to grow again. Not because every problem has disappeared, but because you are beginning to remember that you never faced them alone. The seed has become a tree. The hidden roots have done their work. And now, another season is about to begin. One that will reveal why every moment of waiting was worth it. But before that season arrives, there is one final truth I want you to carry with you. A truth that can change the way you wake up tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, when the world begins asking for your attention again, I want you to remember something simple. Before you check your phone, before you read the headlines, before you measure your day by what you accomplish, remember who you belong to. You are not defined by the opinions of strangers. You are not measured by the number in your bank account. You are not loved because of your performance. You are loved because you are mine. That truth will outlast every success and every disappointment. The seed never questions whether it belongs to the gardener. It simply grows where it has been planted. Live with that same confidence, not confidence in yourself alone, but confidence in the one who has never abandoned his work. There will still be days when fear knocks at your door. There will still be moments when uncertainty whispers that nothing will ever change. When those moments come, don't argue with fear. Bring it to me. Lay it down. You were never created to carry every burden by yourself. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That invitation has never expired. It is still open today. Rest is not found by escaping life. Rest is found by walking through life with me. That is why I have been speaking to your heart today, not to promise a life without challenges, but to remind you that you will never face them alone. Every storm has an ending. Every night gives way to morning. Every season eventually changes. The tree that once looked like nothing more than a buried seed now stretches toward the sky. Its roots remain hidden, but its life becomes impossible to deny. So will yours. One day, you'll look back at this season with different eyes. You'll remember the tears, but you'll also see the growth they watered. You'll remember the waiting, but you'll recognize the strength it produced. You'll remember asking where I was, only to realize I was guiding every step you couldn't understand at the time. Nothing has been wasted, not your prayers, not your pain, not your patience, not even your failures. In my hands, every chapter has a purpose. Some teach, some heal, some prepare. Together, they become a story that reflects my faithfulness. So today, choose one small step. Step outside for a few minutes. Find a tree. Stand beneath its branches. Look at its trunk. Think about the roots you cannot see. Let that become a reminder that my greatest work often happens beneath the surface. As the wind moves through the leaves, remember this: if I care for every tree that grows in the field, if I clothe the flowers with beauty, if I know every sparrow that takes flight, how much more do I care for you? You have never been invisible to me, not on your happiest day, not on your hardest night. I have been with you from your first breath. I will remain with you through every step that still lies ahead. So don't let fear write the ending of your story. Let faith take the pen. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing. The harvest is coming, the roots are strong, and the gardener has never left the garden. If this message reached your heart today, leave one word in the comments that describes what you're holding on to right now. Perhaps hope, peace, trust, or another word that reflects your journey. Someone else may read that one word and realize they aren't walking alone. If a friend or family member came to your mind while listening, share this message with them. It may be the encouragement they've been praying for. And if you'd like more reminders of God's unfailing love and hope, you're always welcome to subscribe and join us again. Until then, walk forward with confidence. The one who planted you is faithful, and what he begins, he always brings to completion.